Welcome back to another episode of the Baseball Bunch, where each week we get a bunch of baseball guys together to talk about a bunch of baseball topics. My name is Jeff Lisey, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Tyler Goodrow and Tom Oldham. Our show tonight, it's going to be a fantastic one, and is brought to you by Evolve Juicery and Kitchen. Never processed, never frozen, fresh ingredients, healthy and tasty grab-and-go meals. Right now, we're encouraging everybody to support local small businesses. If you're in the Omaha area, give Evolve a try. They have great food. And actually, one of my drinks tonight that I'm going to be drinking down is the turmeric, ginger, coconut water, lemon, lime, and cayenne. A lot of anti-inflammatories in this baby. So anyway, give Evolve a try. With that said, we have a fantastic panel of JUCO coaches. The state of JUCO baseball is our topic for tonight. I'm just going to kind of roll through. I'm going to let you guys do your own introductions. We're going to follow our lineup card. If you don't have that, I can give you a prompt to do so. But I think leading us off is going to be Coach Rardin. If you want to just give us your name and the school you're at, and we'll just move through our lineup card.
Marc Rardin, head baseball coach at Iowa Western. I just finished my 18th year.
Hi, Cole Mahoney-Bruer, Ventura College in Ventura, California. First year as head coach.
I'm Scott Reller. I'm at Hutchinson Community College. Just finished my 6th year here.
Gene Bowles, Cleveland Community College, brand new program and first year head coach.
James Kelly, first year at NOC-Tonkawa. I'm the recruiting coordinator here.
I'm Mitch Thompson. I'm the head baseball coach at McLennan Community College down here in Waco. Just finished my 7th year here at McLennan, my 30th year of college coaching.
I'm Jimmy Turk. I'm an assistant coach at South Mountain Community College, and this is my 5th year.
I'm Doug Little, baseball coach at Potomac State here in West Virginia. I've been here 23 years.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for coming on the show. Again, we're going to have a good show, talk some JUCO baseball. I think to kick things off, I'm going to open this up to everybody and kind of get right into some important stuff with recruiting. I think we have a lot of high school kids, a lot of high school coaches that listen. Just kind of want to know what you all can do right now, what you are doing right now. And then I think most importantly, for the high school kids, high school coaches, what do you suggest that those guys should be doing right now? If a kid wants to go to junior college, obviously unfortunate times, especially if you're a senior in high school and you're losing your senior spring, potentially your senior summer, what's the suggestion for those guys to get out there and get noticed? And I'll throw that out to anybody to start, and you guys just hop in.
Well, I'll start it off since I started it to begin with, but Marc Rardin here at Iowa Western. For our kids here at Iowa Western, the main thing, number one, is all of our kids, like everybody, had to go to online. So, that's a big thing to stay on top of them that way as much as you can. Have actually done, I do individual calls with them. Got to be on speakerphone. A parent has to be there on the speakerphone with them just so they know what we're talking about. Where their grades are at as we check on them and things of that nature, and just make sure they're on top of stuff. And that's the one thing I think that they can all really control. Everybody has different workout, where they're at, what they can do, what's in their basement, things of that nature. So that kind of changes a little bit of the aspect of the working out. But the grades are the big part, making sure they get those online, because whether they're coming back here or going on to somewhere else, that's going to be a determining factor. And for myself, with them being gone, first spring really off since I was probably about 6 years old, and I'll turn 49 the end of this month. It was really starting to work for myself with my conditioning and diet, and actually give some time for me and my wife, and then getting to work a lot more with my own 13-year-old. I have a 19-year-old that's a freshman at Iowa Western, so obviously I'm seeing him every day and his workouts. But just actually spending some time, instead of feeling sorry for ourselves, spend some time, maybe make up some time for in the past where it wasn't there.
Yeah.
How's that working out, coaching your son?
What's that?
How's that working out, coaching your son?
I tell you what, I gave him every opportunity to go anywhere else. But that's awesome. I really appreciate you, Doug. Good to see you, by the way. But
You as well.
Good. It's been great, to be able to show up to school every day, to show up to work and see your son and hang out, and be around. And he grew up in the business. He handles it probably way better than I do, just as him. He's in a tough situation, the son of the coach, but man, he handles it really well. He understands the business. And so he does a great job with it.
I'm going to be facing that this fall. My son's a 2020, and he's going to come play for us. So I may be calling you for some advice.
You got my number, Doug, so I'd love to help.
Appreciate it.
How about other guys? I mean, just on the recruiting front then, again, what do you guys, with junior college rules, what are you allowed to do? What are you guys doing on the recruiting side, and what should the high school guys be doing right now?
Jeff, under NJCAA rules, none of us are allowed to leave campus right now. We're not allowed to have people on campus. We're not allowed to go off campus. So, baseball's basically shut down at this point in time. For the kids that are 2020 graduates that are still looking for a place, probably the best advice I could get them is just to take advantage of this time. I think that there's going to be winners and losers coming out of this coronavirus thing, where certain kids are going to spend their time watching Netflix, sleeping in all day, doing nothing, playing video games, while other kids are going to be figuring it out and finding a way to overcome and finding a way to continue to get stronger. Maybe it's in the weight room, to hit, to throw, to take care of themselves and be ready to go when that time comes. The thing for good players to understand is that good players don't get left out. There's going to be places to play, but it is going to be very competitive this year because of the way that the coronavirus has affected everybody. The NCAA is going to have a glut of players. They're basically going to have five years of players trying to make a roster where they're only allowed 4 years of players worth. And so there's going to be a lot of shuffling going on here. Probably, as we get closer to the draft, and with Major League Baseball having their draft changes too, this all affects things. So I would tell people just to be patient. I think if you make a decision right now, you better make sure you're making really the right one for yourself, because I think if you're pulling the trigger just because you're pulling the trigger to get it over with, I think you'll make bad decisions and be at the wrong place with the wrong people. So I've just encouraged people to take advantage of this time, be a winner when this thing's over with, be ready to go, be in shape, ready to go, show out what you can do. Hopefully we get to play summer baseball this year and we can all go watch them play.
I have a quick follow-up question to that. So that you have at a junior college level, you guys are always constantly helping people get onto the next level, as well as you're trying to reload your teams. How about those fringe players that are trying to move on to four-year universities to complete out their college playing career? What are you telling them? What are you doing with them? Marc, you had referenced getting on calls with them. Are you helping them through this process as well, or are there any restrictions in that manner?
Are you talking about like with our sophomores that haven't signed yet, or?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. I have a few, just last few days have had some signed with some mid-major D1s and Division IIs. And I got a few more. I only have I know I have one for sure, maybe two that will return off this year's roster, and both of them were medical redshirts last year with the ability, and we were looking for them to leave after this year, but it just they just didn't get enough numbers. They were doing good, they just didn't get enough numbers and didn't get the offers that they were really looking for, and that's really it. So other than that, it's still getting out there, and I got a few guys that have, places that to try to land. And that's just as difficult as recruiting them. And I think anybody on this tonight will tell you sometimes that's worse than going out and recruiting, is trying to get our guys somewhere, whether they're happy with it, whether we think it's a level they can play at, or they think that they're higher than that. There's a million things that go into that as well. So right now, and I agree with Mitch, this thing's going to get crazy. It's, when people start this fall and people are as a freshman at the university or wherever, and they're going to find out how many guys are there and who returned and where they are on that totem pole. I think Christmas is going to be crazy in the portal with JUCOs. It's kind of like the old draft and follow days for me, being a little bit older. And it's kind of like also, it's kind of like those days where you had even more talent that was pure D1 pro ball talent at our level. And because of the virus and the rosters at that level between now and fall, and then of course at Christmas time, when some guys are going to have realization after being at some of those places for the fall, they're going to look for somewhere else to land. So there's a lot still playing out with this.
I think for us, realistically too, guys have to realize that every level is going to be better now. So a guy that was a mid-major D1 guy in the past is going to be bottom end to maybe a D2 guy now. The one thing that we keep doing is hitting up all the people that we know, and then we make a YouTube page for every single player. So just sending out that video to schools so they can get the best look and, kind of do the best with what we have available to us.
We've been doing the YouTube thing too, and I think it helps, but I think right now too, we have to let them know to be patient, because a lot of those D1s and schools like that are going through the same thing we are. Their rosters are full, or they're trying to figure out who's coming back still. So, we have to keep trying to help those guys out, but we have to let them know at the same time to be a little bit patient, and let's see where this thing goes.
Gene, how about from you? I want to hear from you. Just fascinating, because this is a first-year program. You got the field getting built. How about for you? How's this affecting things?
Yeah, it's definitely been different. I don't want to say we won't know until this thing all shakes out, how it plays out. But within the last couple of weeks, we've had a lot of young men reach out to us from different North Carolina and South Carolina schools, just trying to find a home. It's an absolute trickle-down effect here on the East Coast. But I don't know if we're going to make out great. But at the end of the day, like we talked about earlier, we're a brand new program, and I'm in a fortunate spot to where we do have roster spots, and I'm not filling in guys who are leaving the program. We're starting brand new. So in that regard, we're lucky. But at the same time, the biggest thing I can tell guys who are listening to this, you got to do your homework and be smart. Contact coaches, and it's got to be a right fit for you. Like Coach Thompson said, you got to make sure that, it's the right place for you, and it's got to be a good fit.
So guys, quick question in terms of roster management for next year. Have you guys put in any thoughts to that? Do you think it'll be about the same as it is now, or what are your roster management thoughts?
I think that's a great question, and that's something that we're trying to navigate and see which road we're going to go down, because getting quantity is not a problem. Getting quality is the tough thing to do. And in our situation, we had 13 sophomores, and 4 are going to come back and play for us. So those are 4 guys we weren't counting on until this went down. So we're looking to manage our roster and stay. We have a certain number that we look to have in the fall, and we're almost there, not quite there yet. And I'm just kind of waiting on maybe for a possible couple of transfers. But I think it's important too to make sure that you don't have too many guys, and the guys that you need to get reps are getting the reps so they can get better. So there's a fine line there. Of course, I know a lot of us are at small schools, and my wife's in charge of enrollment at our college, so I get badgered a lot by her to carry a big roster. It helps the school, but her and I are in a battle all the time. She said the only time that I need help is when I need money for a player. But there's a fine line, two-edged sword there, because we're all in small schools. We need students, and who knows which direction this is going to go with student enrollment with colleges here too.
Yeah, I think just like Coach Kelly was saying, tell our patients to be player. I think we've kind of been more patient with who we're trying to get committed right away, because there's going to be that big trickle down effect. So we can be a little bit pickier with the talent level that we are going to get this year. So we're kind of slowing it down and just being in communication with those recruits, but making sure it's a better fit, and moving forward, it's going to work out for everyone. So we're not having a lot of those kids leave at break to find other programs.
Yeah, I think a lot of it just comes down to how many sophomores you already had committed going somewhere else. And if you're a program that didn't have a lot of sophomores that were committed, then you could see potentially a pretty big roster. But for us, I mean, most of our sophomores were committed as well. So then moving on to the 4-year, I think we'll probably have similar roster numbers that we've had in the past.
We had 10, let me answer something real quick. We had 10 or 11 guys signed during the early signing period with Division I schools, and I think that I'm worried for some junior college players that are signed right now. Typically, when you're the 4-year school and you're recruiting a junior college guy, you're recruiting him because you have a hole that you need filled with a guy who has experience to step into your lineup and compete. With the Major League draft changing to a 5 or 10 round draft, I think figuring out roster management for us is even more difficult than it's ever been, because the guys that the Division I schools thought were going to be drafted, they may not get drafted now. If it's a 10-round draft and a guy's a 12 to 15-round pick, he's not getting picked. Well, that means that junior that what they thought they were losing, they're getting him back. And so, I'm worried at some points in time that the junior college guy that was going to fill the hole that was left by the junior draft pick at the 4-year school, there may not be that hole there. So it might not even be a good fit for him to go to that school. And so I think that we could end up getting a few guys back that are big time guys that are going to another place, but we won't know that until the draft hits and this all goes down and the Division I's start to figure out their rosters. Right now, they can't figure out their rosters, and that makes it really difficult for us to put an end to our rosters.
And kind of jump on what Coach Thompson said. I spoke with a Division II school up in New Jersey, and they don't even know if they're going to have money for their seniors, and they won't find out for the next 2 months or whenever they're coming back. So you're going to deal with a lot of that up in the Northeast. I've already been told New Jersey, Connecticut, New York, they're not even sure if they're going to have a fall season. So they're taking precautions on that, and I think I hate to say it's going to be a wait-see game for a lot of kids.
I know for us too, I think it's going to come down to summer ball as well, whether that gets played or not. We've lost kids a week before school started before because they had a really good summer, and Division I jumps on them and takes them a week before school starts. I've had that happen numerous times. And so if there's no summer ball, I think for us too, on our side, the roster could we may not have any attrition that we might usually have. Sometimes we've lost a guy or two in the summer because they go off and have a really good summer, and somebody is ready to go on them that they weren't 6 months earlier.
Coach, I appreciate that segue too. I was going to ask about if you guys had a crystal ball, how do you think the summer is going to play out for the different leagues across the country? I've heard because of the different stay-at-home orders, it's very difficult from a scheduling standpoint because one state may lift a stay-at-home order, but yet another state hasn't, so you can't really cross state lines, that sort of a thing. How do each of you think the summer is going to play out?
I think at least recruiting wise, it's going to be a lot more regional, which I would assume most of us are anyways. I don't leave California to do much in-person recruiting. So it'll just be, your local area if it gets up and going. If not, hopefully there's a lot of good video being made.
Does everybody kind of share those same thoughts?
Well, I coach summer ball up in the Expedition League, and right now we're still on. It's Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota. Those areas aren't bad. Nebraska even too. But you run into the host families with kids coming from all over the country. You want these kids from New York or wherever staying in your house. So it just kind of.
Yeah, I never even thought about that.
Yeah, it's a good thought that they still plan on doing it, but I just don't see realistically how they're going to be able to get the host families on board with all that.
I know over our way, the Valley League, which is in the Virginia area, it's kind of an old college baseball league. It's been very successful. They canceled their entire season probably 2-3 weeks ago, and I was hoping they'd give it a little bit more time, and thought they kind of jumped the gun a little bit. But I think over our way that there's going to be some summer ball, I'm guessing, but it may be in a abbreviated season, so hopefully get something pulled off.
How are all of your schools handling, I mean, budgets, and I'm assuming budgets are affected by this, and, even some sophomores returning potentially that would have been moving on, and tuition differences. Just curious how your schools are all handling that, or if you even know.
I mean, with us being a new program, we're a little different, but we've already been contacted a couple kids that their programs are cutting scholarships, and they're making choices on kids that are in state, out of state, and kind of which kid's going to stay and which kid's not going to stay. So you're starting to see that across the board as well. That's going to happen all over JUCO as well.
I think there's still a lot of questions in the air on a lot of it. From the scholarship end, I know it ain't going up, so
Right.
You're going to have to be able to adjust and make it work with what you have or less. So I think it's just going to be whatever blow you're given, you're going to have to find a way to deal with it.
Can somebody explain to our listeners and viewers what a typical junior college, scholarship program looks like? Like how many you're allowed, how many are you not allowed, and is it all based off of budget? Can somebody explain that a little bit?
I don't know if anybody wants to say anything about their budget for scholarship. To each his own in a lot of this. Obviously there's the rules with NJCA, Division I, Division II, and so forth, and what by NJCA rule you're allowed to offer. For Division I, we can offer tuition, dorms, books, meals. We can basically offer everything. I don't have everything to offer, but I do have scholarships that I can break up and do that type of stuff with. We get the 24 letters of intent, which obviously sometimes that's more kind of what you're playing with is the 24 letters of intent than it actually is the money, just for the fact of trying to get the most productive guys. I don't know how many times I've said it, that being really fortunate to win 3 national championships, but on the second one in on the third one in 2014, when we dogpiled at the end, there were 4 guys on the field playing that were walk-ons that didn't have one penny from us, that was playing. And you need those. You need them at the NCAA Division I level or JUCO level. That's just the way the life is. So, but each of us is different that way. It goes to your facilities. Fortunately, we have great facilities and we're in a great area. But I don't have all the money in the world, but we've got other things to offer.
Mitch, you were going to say
I'll go
something?
next because it's super easy for us. We don't have scholarships in California, so budget's not getting dinged.
I was just going to say, the 24 scholarships. For us, if we give $1 to a guy, that's one of our 24 guys. So we take the money that the school gives us, we divide it up by our 24 players, and that's our scholarship money. Just how we can do that. I want to echo what Marc has to say, because I think the walk-ons are hugely important to the success of any program. We typically have a roster of about 35 guys, 35 to 38 tops. That means that I've got 14 guys on my team every year that are walk-ons, 11 to 14 guys. Well, that's 1/3 of my team. So how good do you think we would be without 1/3 of our team there? And so those spots are very valuable to us too. But the scholarships are going to be difficult to do this year. And you're right, budgets are going to be affected because colleges are going to be affected. And the one thing that all of us in college athletics probably really better pray for is we better pray that college football happens this year at the major college level. Because if it doesn't, then you're going to see colleges all across the country where athletic programs are getting shut down. Thankfully, at our level in junior college, I don't know that it'll affect us terribly big in junior college baseball. I hope and pray it doesn't. But at the Division I level, it's going to affect a lot of people if they don't play college football this fall.
Yeah, the other dynamic part of the scholarship part this year is if you kind of like the 4-year schools. You know, I see on Twitter every day some schools are going to pay for their seniors to come back and some's not. We've got one player that plays at a fairly big Division I school, and he's a senior, and they're not sure if they're going to fund their scholarship back for next year. And we're, you know, at our level, we're doing the same thing, because if the sophomores come back that had scholarship, how are they going to fit into our scholarship allotment? Is the school going to let us, you know, honor those? So it's chaotic right now.
And do you guys know if your schools are allowing you to honor those scholarships?
I know in our situation they're going to, yes, but I only have 4.
At Iowa Western, they will.
Now, guys, am I clear on this with our 24? Those sophomores coming back, those would count towards our 24 letters of intent. Is that correct? Is that how you guys understand that?
Yeah, that's what I do. Yep.
Yes.
So something kind of on the same lines of this as well. You know, Marc, knowing you and just being close with, around your program for many years, you have a JV team. I don't know if that's the same for a lot of your guys' programs on this call here, but if you don't have one, are you guys maybe looking at adding that, or can you add that? I guess is a good question to go on of what we're discussing here.
That's a good point. That could develop out of that. That's a sweet lid, by the way. I like that. But yeah, I would say, especially, you know, with enrollment, schools may like that. Marc, we might have to schedule your JV team.
I've had some other schools call.
That's
what
an
do you
interesting topic, though. Do they get charged a year playing on the JV team?
Yes. Yep.
So how are you guys keeping in contact with your players right now? Are you guys having calls like this with them, or what does that look like?
I've done both. I've Zoom called them or FaceTimed them, or you just text them or call them up and just see how they're doing. It's helped me pass some time too, but I think it also allows you to get to kind of see the other side of them as well, when it's not necessarily, you know, mainly focused on practice or a game or the baseball side of it, but, you know, what are they doing? How's classes going? What are they doing in their free time? And it just allows the relationship to, I think, deepen just a little bit, kind of show that you care about them. And so that's been if all this going on, that's kind of been a fun side of it, is getting to see kind of that other side of them and see they take some of those walls down and you get to know them a little bit better.
Absolutely. Have the conversations gone so far as to say, let's say there is no summer ball, this is what I want you doing during the summer from a training standpoint, or, you know, I guess you don't really know when you're going to be able to get back on campus, but have you guys had those conversations?
I mean, for us, it's been a little different because being a first-year program and we're majority 2020s, we've been staying in touch with our commits as well as our parents. I put a newsletter out bi-weekly. I'm sorry, bi-weekly, and just kind of keep them updated because, you know, all the questions that a high school parent would have, when registration is, all that. All of our admissions and everybody at our school, they're at home. So they're trying to do registration, all that from at home, and try to make sure guys get classes. That's what, that's our plan the next 2 weeks. So that's pretty much what we've been doing, just trying to follow up with all of our guys. But again, we're in a different boat.
So my Scott Platt, my one of my assistants who does all our strength and conditioning, sends out a video every morning, every like Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday and Friday mornings throughout every week, and he gives them in-home different workouts, and they send videos back, and they love doing that stuff, and they send them back and they show them. Maybe they get a little bit creative and change the exercise a little bit with what they have, and doing different stuff, whether it's in the backyard, and one of our kids was squatting, half of a cut tree and things of that nature. But just that type of stuff to stay and engage with them. And I mean, a term you said just a few minutes ago, somebody said was, just so they know we care. And I think that's number one of what all of the coaching is with us. No different than me calling up and being on the line with them on the speakerphone with a parent as well. So a parent hears what we're talking about, and the parent can kind of be on the other end of that guy and staying on them with their online classes. Same goes with Scott, my assistant, with them with the different conditioning, and kind of sending that video out and getting videos back from them and things like that, keeping them engaged. Because I basically have to say it every day, because I'm either saying it to a recruit, saying it to my assistant, saying it to myself, saying it to some of my guys still looking for a place to go. It's April 19th. Like, there's so much time yet. Yeah. And like Mitch said, and a couple of you others, we just got to be patient. I got to remind myself of that. And I'm always basically saying the date to somebody, saying, listen, it's only April 19th. It's not May 19th. It's not June 1st. Like, we just got to slow down and just kind of take it as we go right now.
And Coach, you were talking about video. Do you rely on, getting video from certain people across the country, or cruising Twitter? For a high school guy trying to get into your programs, what's the best platform to see
for kids that want us to recruit them?
Yeah.
I mean, video is awesome. I mean, video of some swing. I don't need like the choreographed music that goes with it and everything like that. I don't need all the highlights. We want to see him swing. We want to see, bullpen. We want to see, the radar gun with the bullpen, that type of stuff. If we can see that, that's awesome. And I'm just speaking for myself. I don't want to speak out of turn for anybody else online here, but those things are great. It's how things continue to change. I consider myself old school, and I go to the office every day and I can recruit sitting, at my desk. And the Doug Littles and Mitch Thompsons and myself couldn't really do that when we first started doing this gig. And now I'm sitting here talking to you guys on my phone. So this is all new to me.
So the rap music doesn't sell the kid?
Well, it just depends. I mean, if it's early 90s, I might be in with it a little bit. I might get more fired up for the music. That's might be unfortunate.
I kind of hate that Mark just called me old. That really kind of bothers me.
I always say Mitch Thompson, my older brother. That's how I always label you.
Well, Coach Rardin or Coach Reller, shoot, if you guys have any guys in Omaha, I need a tree cut down. I feel like some axe work in the backyard.
Yeah. And I can get some guys for you. You just let me know. I had a kid the other day text me a picture. He built his own squat rack, so I was pretty impressed with that. So if you need some guys that know how to cut a tree down, I got some.
Yep, I love it. How about fall ball for y'all this upcoming fall? What do you think that's going to look like? Are you going to have more games than you normally would? I mean, or are kids even going to be on campus potentially, right? There might not even be on campus in the fall. So, I mean, what do you guys think this fall looks like at the JUCO level?
We're sure praying that we get on campus. I know this, that we won't have a single player this year that shows up on campus that minds the grind of the fall. You know, and if they do, we need to kick them right in the butt. If you see coach walking around dragging his dauber, holy cow, you know, what would you give right now to be able to hit a fungo to a kid? What would you give to be able to write out a lineup card and to schedule a practice? So, you know, I can't wait for the fall. But like Mark said, we've got 4 months until we get there. Lord knows we need this Corona thing to go away. We need the economy to pick back up, and let's all get back to work and be healthy and show back up and have a little bit of normal.
Do you guys think you're going to be playing more games in the fall?
Hopefully.
We get 20 dates, so I mean, it's not like we're going to have more games for us. I mean, you know, the same number of dates that you have, that's what you have. So you just do what you can with that.
I think along with those dates, though, I mean, I agree with Mitch, but I mean, we're gonna inter squad as much as, I mean, guys need to play. Yeah. Guys need those hits. So I mean, yeah, we're gonna play as much as we can to other teams, but then we're gonna be playing, you know, a day later amongst ourselves and just getting reps as much. I mean, I think junior college is the best thing right now. If I'm selling it for all of us, I think junior college is the best thing this next year when you talk about 14 weeks in the fall, not 3 weeks of team practice and stuff, or go, you know, going somewhere and just doing individuals. They can do individuals right now for the next 4 months. I think it's going somewhere to where you're going to get that 14 weeks where you can just play. You got the weights, you got the classes, and then let's just play. And that's, I think it's going to be as big now this next fall as it ever will be for development and getting guys back on the field.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think if you think about it, you know, our freshmen that are coming back are they're down 40 or so games from the springtime, and if there's no summer ball, it's another, who knows, 40 or 50 games they don't get in. So you're talking about 80 to 100 games that they're behind in a sense. And so, you know, I think all of us would like to play as much as we can in the fall, whether it be an inter squad or against somebody else.
Yeah, with everybody's budgets that we might get, we might be doing a lot of inter squads. No traffic, maybe, you never know. And we typically go in West Virginia till the last day of October because it starts getting pretty cold here this time of year in the mountains, that time of year in the mountains. And this year we may push that November 15th deadline and go a couple of weeks extra just to get more reps in because like Scott said, trying to catch up on lost reps.
Just think of the high school kids coming in if they're missing all this, and then they're going to come in and try to adjust to college, you know, at the junior college level. And you know, some of the guys we roll out there and some of the guys they're facing, if they're one of those high school kids on the mound, I mean, and they haven't played this spring and their summer's cut short or no summer at all, and then all of a sudden roll in with us. They're good, but they just haven't played, and it's you know, it can be a little ugly at times.
I think that's a great point, and I've said that with especially like some high school senior that maybe didn't play a lot last year in his junior year or something, and you know, and now he's going to be going off to college, and that's a big jump to lose that senior year and have to hop into college competition.
Yeah.
How about just having a little fun? I mean, what's everybody doing with your free time? Obviously, you guys have a little more time right now than you normally would. Some family time, whatever else. What's everybody spending their time doing right now?
I think my wife's ready for me to get back on the field.
I bet, right?
The house is being a little bit more organized, like the shed is at the field, and I have a lot more questions about where things are and is that the most efficient use, and so definitely getting on that stuff. But yeah, just enjoying more time with my wife and doing that. So it's definitely good. Reading a lot more books and research on training our guys. So next fall we'll be very dialed in.
You got a good book suggestion?
The one I like right now is Chop Wood, Carry Water. I think that's a good one.
If anybody is looking for a good book, The Culture Code I just read recently is a fantastic book by Daniel Coyle. The Culture Code, really good for team building, business, baseball, any of that kind of stuff. So What else? Who else got something fun going on?
I mean, the biggest thing, obviously, like, we're constantly on Zoom calls with engineers, with the field. I mean, a couple days ago, we were looking at uniforms. I mean, shoot, we don't even have baseball on campus. So when it's brand new, we're talking about brand new. So everything you think that you have to purchase, I mean, we're trying to get everything in before the end of the physical year, just to make that budget and make everything work kind of dollar and cents right now, and try to estimate what we think is going to come in to make sure we have enough for all the guys in the fall.
Are any of you guys fields open?
Ours is at Potomac State. Luckily, that keeps my sanity.
How many times did you mow it last week?
I tell you, I've been mowing it 3 times. Our maintenance guy's wondering what we're doing with all the gas, but just to stay busy. And,
there with scissors?
Yeah, not quite that bad, but yeah. And my grass at the house looks wonderful too, and mulching.
Coach Turk, you've got a little puppy, right? I'm surprised.
Yeah.
You've been keeping that thing pretty tame throughout this call.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. I got a puppy like kind of right when everything started, so she's been keeping me busy the last 4 weeks. So
you might have a mess on the ground behind you right now.
I know. I had to put her up for a minute so she wouldn't sneak off. So she's hanging out in her little area right now.
How about just longer term effects? I mean, this obviously is going to have some massive short-term effects. What about longer-term effects to the junior college baseball scene?
I personally think that this affects college baseball for the next 3 years at least. Just in some way of just kind of backing it up a little bit and really filling up schools, filling up rosters, the movement of guys. So, I kind of see the 3-year effect, the ripple effect of it.
I could definitely see a year from now being worse than this year. So I think it could be a really big log jam a year from now, especially with all the conversations I've had with other coaches. So
I think so too. I think in January it's going to be a lot of influx of players that go to those 4-year schools and don't have a home and looking for a place.
I mean, I also think too, I mean, I know we're all JUCO guys on here, but don't be surprised if there's a whole bunch of post-grads that start popping up within the next year or two. I think that's, obviously across the country is going to be the new trend because the average guy, he's not going to be able to play on most rosters anymore. It's just the nature of the beast now. You're going to have so much of an influx from the 4-year schools coming back down and the guys that we were going to get anyways, maybe because of grades, but you're going to have guys that they're either going to do the red shirt or they're going to have to go to a post grad if they want to play somewhere or a JV team.
And guys, a lot of the people that are listening in or watching in, they were very excited for this show and anticipating a lot of the recruiting discussions. So a question that they have is, do you recruit certain programs or high schools more than others because of the type of player or relationships that you have?
I definitely think it's easier, like especially down in those Texas schools, like in those Houston area schools or the Oklahoma City and the Tulsas up here in Oklahoma. I think where the baseball is better, it's definitely a lot easier to go recruit those schools. I spent a year at Tomball High School, one of the better schools in Texas, and it's a lot easier. It's harder for me with the out-of-state stuff, but it's easier to know to go down there and find guys because there's going to be a lot of baseball down there that kind of goes unnoticed.
I think we all recruit from places where we trust the coaches that we're talking to, the information from them. We are using all of the contacts that we have that we build up over time to find players, and there's lots of different ways for it to happen. Sometimes they do just fall in your lap, but many times it's from a friend or a former player turning you on to those guys. And so, one of the things, obviously, we like to recruit guys from winning programs because winners like to win. And most times the winning team has better players. a lot of times, you know. And so, yeah, shoot, we want to recruit as many guys that are used to winning as possible. But that doesn't mean that you can't find a diamond in a rough, you know, at some school that really struggles along. But hey, this guy's a really good athlete and can play too. You just got to have the eye to be able to see it.
I think especially what Mitch said too is, you know, with not playing spring baseball for high school guys, and if we don't have summer baseball, I mean, word of mouth is going to be huge. So trusting your relationships and contacts you have with coaches and getting some video on top of it. I mean, if we're not able to go out and recruit for a whole calendar year, basically fall to fall, you know, the word of mouth and the relationships you have with those coaches are going to be huge.
And I kind of want to echo just, you know, obviously the trust factor is huge with any coach, but, you know, if anybody's listening on this and, you know, they're still uncommitted, you know, don't lie when you contact a coach. You know, when we contact, you know, one of our, you know, maybe it's a guy I know in Florida who you played against, and he goes, no, little Johnny, no, he's 82, 83. It gets back really quick. This baseball world, it's such a small community, and I think guys need to hear that. They, you know, first day on the job, we get a video, and I mean, you could tell the guy wasn't throwing what he's throwing, and, you know, I think the biggest thing is don't lie, because you're going to get caught up into it real quick.
You guys see that much where guys lie on their stuff, or they're saying they throw 85 and they throw 75?
I just saw one today on Twitter, kids putting stuff out there, which I think is a great way to get coaches' eyes and stuff. But I saw the stuff he posted on there, and I saw the kid on our field a year ago, and he's nowhere near that. He's pretty good, but nowhere near the numbers he put up. But, yeah, you have to filter through that stuff sometimes. I think it goes back to what Mitch said. You have to, you know, rely on people that you trust their word to get more information on players. You have to do some digging sometimes because the numbers don't always add up.
Well, I think, and I agree with all that, and some of the stuff that we obviously have to recruit from with all those organizations out there, those recruiting systems out there, and we got to recruit from them, and those showcase kids, as we call them, to where they can really run. They maybe pass the eye test. They can really hit BP, and they can get on the mound and throw from their butt hairs for 12 throws, and it looks really good. But put them out there for 3 innings, and all of a sudden that drops down like 6 velos. No, those you got to distinguish between that, and some of those guys are just, they grow up in that. They're growing up in that, and so they know that a lot of that is important to put up those numbers, and they train for that. And I don't know, in some cases you see they're not training internally for the competitive side, you know, like that guy that's out there every day. They're training for that Sunday showcase, and then the next one, whatever. And the same thing goes with when they go out and play. And for us, you see where maybe a lot of them don't know the game as much getting to us because they're used to playing on those just weekend travel teams, and it's 3 for 4 and screw the score type of thing, you know, and I'm just trying to get mine. And those are the things where we're really looking at some of that talent, but then you're trying to find on the teeter-totter, trying to balance it out to where, you know, how's the person, how's the student, is he really competitive, because he's very obviously has a skill set, but is he competitive? And you know, team player. I mean, there's just so much that goes into it that's why it's not a perfect science to try to put it all together at times.
To add on to that, I think, go ahead.
The one thing that, sorry, Mitch, the one thing I was going to say is the benefit of this is I've had a lot more time to actually spend talking to recruits and getting a feel if the personalities will match. Because, I mean, we do spend so many hours a week with these guys that are we going to be a good fit? Like when I ask you a question and you have a 3-word answer and the conversation kind of dies out, like I really want to know, you know, your thought or your, you know, what you do enjoy, and see if we, you know, hit it off. And some kids, it's a tough conversation. It's like, how's that going to change when you actually get on campus next year? So it's been a little, you silver lining to this whole, debacle that we can really get to know these kids a lot better and have better fits hopefully next year.
Yeah, and I think that I think for players, it's this video age is a great thing. It's great for us to initially get a chance to see players, but for me, it's really difficult for me to recruit a guy off of a video. It's hard for me to recruit a guy off of a tryout camp because at the end of the day, you want to see baseball players. You want to see guys who compete in the game. I want to know that you're going to run hard 90s down that line all day, every day. I want to see how you're going to handle when you fail. Are you kicking the dog? Are you a poor team? How does that work? I want to see when you're ahead 11-0. Are you playing like your hair's on fire, like it's the most important at bat of the day, or have you coasted? There's so many things that we have to see on the field to really feel comfortable about that. But I think for players, for them to feel comfortable about where they go to school too, you have to know that the coaches that are recruiting you have seen you play. Because if we haven't seen you play, then it's like me telling you I'm going to introduce you to a beautiful blonde girl, and I start telling you about this girl, and you start creating this image in your head as to who she is and what she's about. Okay, and when I bring her in the room, if she doesn't match up that image that you had in your head, then you are disappointed. But it's not your fault, right? It's not her fault that you're disappointed. It's your fault. And so that's just kind of the same thing from word of mouth from other coaches. It's big to start us out, but video, it's big to start us out, but it's beneficial for all of us to be able to see guys play. And I think for players, if I'm a player, I want to know that the coach that I'm going to go play for has seen me play before, that he knows what he's getting, because then it's just like Coach is saying, then we've got a chance to really match up. That I know what I'm wanting and he knows what he's wanting, and we're a really good fit for each other.
Those are some great points, and I think some great takeaways. Any high school kid that's out there listening, and just from the hustle and effort and mindset and mentality and everything for any high school kid. And personally, now you've got me thinking about this beautiful blonde and what she might look like. So
me too.
She's pretty.
So guys, I feel like we've got some guys that have been around college baseball for a long time on this show tonight. Not to age anybody or date anybody out on that, but do you feel like players today, have they changed? Are the players that you're seeing, I know Coach Rardin, I mean, you just even mentioned, the 3 for 4 and screw the score type thing. Like, do you see more of those guys, or are there, again, differences in players personality-wise, effort-wise, or anything else in today's players?
I think you can't get caught up in that it's today's kids in today's world. So there's a lot of that. And I am now recruiting a lot of my kids from parents. Their parents are younger than me. So, I mean, I'm, that what you're looking for, what we call that it factor of when you're 0 for 3, are you still the first one to pick a dude up when he comes in from scoring, or are you still moping down at the other end of the dugout? Because all of us here notice that, those types of things, and that it factor side. And it takes so much, I call it individual growth. At Iowa Western, we're trying to find that right person that's a good student that's going to fit in at Iowa Western as an athlete, be a link in the chain, and you're going to have your individual growth, but they got to also understand that we're also trying to do team development. Like, we're trying to win while you're here, but, make no mistake, this isn't your final landing spot. So there's individual growth. So we got to be able to meet with you in the middle. It isn't just about you. And, I think that a part of that with today's kid is just them understanding where they're at. These are all great programs on the line tonight, and every one of us want the best person and player that we can get. But with that being said, we know that we're trying to help you move on. That's how we get the next really good kid in, is that we can place somebody and move them on, give them some opportunities after here. So with that individual growth, we're trying to do with them and then do the team development and win. I think that you have to have understanding. They have to have understanding. The teaching side is, okay, this is where we're at. This is what we're trying to do. You know, you getting your piece of the pie is because you are selfless and give yourself. And I think it's just tireless for coaches. You just constantly teach it. It's not just preach it, but you got to teach it.
How about your big brother? What's he think?
He just goes out and gets really good talent.
Yeah.
He goes out and just gets really good talent.
You know, I don't know that you can say the kids have changed or not. I know that you know, they communicate differently. All right. They don't communicate on the telephone as well. They communicate with their fingers on the telephone. We have to make some adjustments to them as well. But the thing that I think that's the hardest thing is that when the kids get to college baseball, they need to understand that they have to compete. And that's the thing that sometimes summer baseball doesn't always show them. Sometimes throughout high school baseball, it hasn't shown them. You know, sometimes they're the best players on the field, and so they're just the best player. You know, but when you get to the college level, you're going to have to compete, and sometimes kids have a hard time with that. And what do I mean by competing? I mean by performing. You know, I've lost players before because I wouldn't promise them a starting job when I recruited them. And I never have in 30 years, and I never will, because I don't want to be a liar on the deal. I mean, if somebody promised you that you're going to be the starter, what does that mean? You're going to start every game. You're going to start versus right-handed pitchers versus left-handed pitchers. If you go 0 for 40, are you the starter? No, you're not. And so obviously performance has something to do with it. So, you know, I think it's important for all of us as coaches. We want to recruit guys who know how to compete. So, hey, maybe the guy that plays multiple sports, that's good. Maybe the guy that's played football before, been punched in the mouth and had to get up, been hollered at and had to adjust. That's good. You know, watching the guys play basketball, that's all good. So, you know, the guys who compete, that's the difference. And a lot of kids go through the lessons today too. Okay. And there's a lot of good being done in lessons, but, you know, I always call the lesson area kind of Dr. Feelgood. You know, I've got to make you feel good in this cage, so that you'll come back next week and bring me another $80. Okay. So when you leave, you're going to feel real good about yourself. That doesn't always happen when you get to college baseball. There's going to be days where you get knocked down, buddy, and you're going to have to grow up and get up and dust yourself off and get on with it again. And nobody's going to be there to pat you on the tail. You know, there's a growing up factor to it too. So, you know, we want guys to compete because that's what it's going to take to win. But, you know, kids today will give you what you ask for. I think if we as college coaches are honest with them and we tell them what we're really looking for, these are my 3 or 4 things. You know, and I tell kids all the time, this is what we're looking for in a player. And listen, if we're not it, please don't come here, because you and I won't get along and I'm going to win on this deal. But what we end up getting when we tell them what we want is we get exactly what we ask for. And at least that's been my experience. If I tell kids this is who we are, this is what we want, you know, the kids who aren't in on that don't want to come play for me, and that's fine. There's somewhere else for them to play.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody in this discussion has standards and a culture that they have for their teams, and we try to find players that I don't want to say fit into that, but goes back to players. Do they have, you know, are they talented? Do they compete? And then take those guys and work them within the framework of the standards that you have and make sure they're meeting those standards or above and beyond and fitting into a team culture. Because honestly here, I know in our case, we've never been overly talented through the year. We've been able to be successful because we work really hard, and I think we have pretty good discipline, and we have a good group of kids. And we've been successful a lot of times winning games, not because we're the best team on the field, because we play together the best as a team.
I think those are great points. I'd like to just kind of go around the horn here and hear, I mean, from others on you know, whether it's your team's core values or the style of play or things you look for or want to recruit, other than maybe the 6'5" lefty that throws 90. But yeah, I mean, what kind of guys are you looking for? What's your style of play? What's your culture at your school? Gene, you want to start us off?
I'll start you guys off. I think the biggest thing with us, I mean, being a new program, I'm going after guys who, for lack of a better reason, all fit in, our program, kind of our standards, and basically kind of how, the last probably 2 programs ago that I coached at, first thing the head coach told me, he's like, look, tells all the players I got 3 standards. It's loyalty to the program, loyalty to the players, and loyalty to the staff. And I think that's the one thing too, where, it doesn't matter what what type of kids you bring in, they got to fit for what you want. I've always, being coming from a Division III JUCO, not having any money. I mean, it's easy to say, I want that grinder kid, all that. I like kids that played other sports. I mean, we got 4 guys who were wrestlers and 3 were state champs at their individual states. I mean, I like kids who can get hit in the mouth and get back up and want to show up the next day. I mean, those are our type of guys. I mean, everybody's different, but I want guys, when we go to the ballpark, they're ready to play ball. I mean, one of my assistant coaches said it best. We were recruiting a kid, and you see it a lot with showcase ball. They show up with their shorts. They show up with their slides. The guys who jump out of the car and are ready to play. I mean, those are our type of guys. That's what I like to see.
So don't brawl with you guys, all those wrestlers. Coach Kelly, how about you guys?
I mean, we want the hard-nosed guys too, for sure, but we kind of have the tradition here too. I think we've had a 3.5 team GPA each of the last 4 semesters. So academics are really important to us too, and even the academic money comes to those high school guys. Their test scores and everything have to be really high. So academics is a big deal to us. Like everybody else, we want the guy that plays football, basketball. I like having those conversations with kids in the fall when you're trying to get them for a workout, and they're like, "Oh, I can't get there. I've got a football game." That's okay for me to work around. I don't mind that. But the biggest thing for us is the grades, because at the same time, we're sending them out to class, and we don't, they're away from home, away from their parents, but they've taken care of business so far, so it's a little less worrisome on us of how they're going to handle the classroom. So.
Awesome. Coach Reller, how about you?
I mean, for us, we'd like to find as talented a kid as we can to be here. But at the same time, he's got to be coachable. We want coachable kids, and we'd like kids that are, when you challenge them, are they going to back down from the challenge, or are they going to accept it? Because Coach Schmidt talks about all the time, he wants to try to create the most competitive environment in practice every day. And if we got kids that are scared of that, then they're in the wrong place. So, guys that when they get challenged, when they face adversity, are they going to keep going and moving forward, or are they going to back down from it? So, but I think the biggest thing too is, we want the coachable kid. If he's going to fight us for 2 years, he's probably not going to make a whole lot of progress.
Awesome. Coach Mahoney-Bruer, what about you guys?
Same thing. We want hardworking kid that shows up on time. And a lot of times when I'm talking with them, I want a kid that's kind of invested in himself. So if he's done research and, I can't believe how many kids ask, are you a driveline program? I still don't know what that means, but it shows that they're at least invested in developing themselves. And I'd much rather have a conversation with a kid that's done any kind of research than a kid that just shows up and does the bare minimum, because those are some great conversations you can have about their development. So I want a kid that's curious about things and starting to dive into them, because sometimes, you might not agree with them, but I can send them a research article or an abstract from an article and get them more curious or going down another rabbit hole, and they're going to keep developing that way. So it's not just the physical side for me. Like Coach Kelly, those kids are going to take care of the classroom. They know that this is the vehicle that drives them to the 4-year level. When they move on, there's less scholarship money. So now academically, it makes it easier. So we just want a well-rounded kid it's wanting to really learn in every aspect. So
awesome. How about Coach Turk?
Yeah, I think what Doug said was huge, especially for us. I mean, a lot of people don't know that we're funded like a Division II program and we play at the Division I level. So the reason we've done that is because we've been successful and we've pushed guys on to the next level, and we feel like it's helped guys. But a lot of guys don't know that. So our scholarship situation is like a Division II. So for us, being limited in scholarship money, and you're trying to compete against Central Arizona and Yavapai, and both those teams have won a national championship in the last 5 years since I've been at South Mountain. But we've won the most conference games in the last 5 years in our conference, and we pushed on 41 guys in the last 4 years to Division I programs. So the big piece of that is we just have to work harder than everybody else. So our culture it's very structured, it's very detail oriented. We get in, we work hard, we do the things we need to do to help guys develop on and off the field, and we try to push them on to the next level. And so we've really built our program around development and giving them value and substance. It's just not, hey, come to the field, let's help you get better with baseball. We really try to help in all facets of life too, so guys are successful after they're done playing baseball and after South Mountain. And guys have been successful coming out of our program, so I think that's just helped with what we do. We have a really good coaching staff. Everything in play that we have is to help our player grow and develop as a young man. So we just have to work harder than other people. We're not funded like other schools. And so for us to stay competitive and keep making the playoffs and make a push to the World Series again, we just got to work harder than other teams.
Good stuff. I know a couple guys had kind of already answered that, but I don't want to leave anybody out. Did anybody have anything else to add, or again, with that same topic, anybody that I missed?
Hey, Jeff, one thing, for kids, I think we're all, as coaches, we're all looking for low maintenance players. And what do I mean by that? I mean, if we have to worry about you screwing up off the field, that's a big time problem for me. If I'm getting a phone call at 11 o'clock at night that you can't handle yourself and you're not disciplined in what you're doing, man, that's a problem. I mean, we need a low maintenance player that when we tell them that they go to class, that they're going to go to class and they're going to give great effort, that they understand the value of the education that they're going to get. And low maintenance players typically are on the field. They're high energy guys. They're guys who have a passion. We tell every kid that comes into our program that we want them to have the goal of playing in the big leagues. That doesn't mean that every kid's going to play in the big leagues, okay? But if they don't want to play at that level, they're never going to give us the effort that we want from them. But at the same time, we have to prepare that even if you do make it to the big leagues and you play 10 years and you're done at 35, what are you going to do for the next 30 years of your life? So this time that you're spending in school right now, it's valuable. It's helping to prepare you for what you're going to do when baseball's done. And it's going to finish for all of us at some point in time. Every one of us played, and every one of us played till they told us we couldn't play anymore. And then what we do is we go coach, okay? But we love it. But listen, yeah, we want guys who want to be the best that they can be in everything they do. Low maintenance players are less work for us as coaches. We want to be able to give them a plan, go work hard with that plan, but know that it means as much to them as it does to us.
Mitch, if this was church, I'd say amen.
Awesome. And Coach Rardin and Coach Rell, you may not want me saying this to all of these guys, this group, but there's a lot of good baseball in Omaha and a lot of good baseball in Nebraska. And myself being an owner of the Nebraska Prospects, I'm telling you, we get guys out there and like I said, there's a lot of good baseball around here. So sorry, Coach Rardin, sorry, Coach Reller, but
I think that's becoming less and less of a secret. So
right. Yeah, no, that's awesome, guys. I've really enjoyed our time. Does anybody have anything else to add, or they want to talk about here before we wrap up?
The camera adds 15 pounds.
Yep. No, that's a given. That's a given.
I'm impressed you haven't looked away to that Jordan documentary very much.
It's right over there.
Awesome. Good stuff, guys. Really, really have enjoyed it. It's a lot of good content, a lot of good info. For people out there listening, look all these guys up. If you're a high school player, obviously these are some of the best junior colleges in the country, a lot of good opportunities. Give us a follow at baseballbunch_ on Twitter or baseballbunchshow.com. Myself, I'm at JLizzyBaseball. We've got at Goodrow Catching and at Tom Oldham 19 on Twitter. With that said, like I said, that's a great show, great conversation, and really appreciate everybody's time.
Thank you,
Thanks
guys.
for having
Thank
us.
you.
Thanks for all you do for JUCO. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Stay safe, guys.